Hello, everybody, and welcome back to That's Football, and welcome back to Win, Lose or Draw, where me and Robbie predict the weekend results. We're head-to-head. He was winning 12-11 last week, but I tell you what, Arsenal versus Man City is the first game we're going to talk about. I tell you what as well, it's 1-0 to Man City, and before Robbie can have his say, I just want to say, this is an absolute disgrace. This FA charge, what a week it's been, Robbie, because that FA charge, when that dropped yesterday, I had to check if it was a parody account. So basically, the FA have charged Arsenal for not controlling their players. And you can go through my timeline. I have been at this for 2 years. Every time I watch Man City, if there's half a penalty, half a throw-in, they'll argue about the bloody who gets the toss at the start. They're swarming the referee. They never get done. I'm always tweeting, why don't they ever do anything? Arsenal get a man sent off in what has been agreed. It was a ridiculous decision. Obviously, they're going to say something to the ref, and they get done for it as well. Absolute joke, absolute disgrace. And I just think this is the FA and the PGMOL just looking for some way to come back at Arsenal for what happened last weekend because they messed up. And I'm tired of it. I'm tired of it. I was talking about Gary Neville's podcast yesterday, back in the bloody PGMOL. And I just think, you know what? It goes back to what we were saying on Monday on your channel. Mates rates. If you own a restaurant and I come in and you serve something I don't like, I'm not going to go, it was lovely, Robbie. I'm going to say, Robbie, it could be better because I want you to be the best you can be. And what people don't understand in life is you can't just bat your mates when they're not doing things because it just leads to what's happening at the moment. I think it's an absolute disgrace, that charge. And fair play to Man City for getting away with it for 2 years. I'm not digging them out, but they've been at it for 2 years. Genuine reason to swarm a referee and you get charged for it.
Yeah, but listen, Mark, this is revenge. The PGMOL have got their, or are getting their revenge of this because they're so hurt. Because remember, they weren't backing down on this. It's an independent tribunal that has turned around and said that red card was, said basically what we all knew, that the red card was ridiculous. They could have redeemed themselves, the PGMOL, by just after everything happened, they could have just said, you know what, we got it wrong, red card rescinded, and so it didn't, like Mikel Arteta said, hopefully it doesn't have to go to an appeal. But it had to go to an appeal because they were still standing by Michael Oliver. Yeah. And now, because they've been proven wrong and, now they're trying to take revenge. And I saw those ridiculous comments by Gary Neville. It's like what you said last week, right? Over on my channel. These, companies, these Skies and all that, they've got connections, or relations, should I say, with the referees and stuff like that. And calls would have been put in saying, you know what, you guys,
dial it down a bit.
Yeah, so dial it down. You're having a go at our guys. You're making us look even worse, right? How can Gary
Neville was insinuating that you, Arsenal Football Club, and you as an Arsenal influencer, are in, that you're sort of like stoking the fire that leads to the
it's
pile
absolutely,
on of these referees.
Yeah, ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. We see what we see, which are terrible decisions, and that was another one in a catalogue of terrible decisions, right? And all we do is we call it out because you know what? I ain't got nobody from the PGMOL giving me a phone call and saying, Robbie, dial it down. And even if I did, I'd tell him to do one, right? Yeah. Because I'm sorry, what I see is what I say. And everybody saw what happened. And this worries me going forward now, right? Because if they're being this vindictive with this, what other decisions are going to go against us? Or what decisions are we not going to get that we should get? I mean, I've got no faith in this PGMOL organization at all. I really have no faith in them.
It's interesting you say that because it just came into my head there. I don't know whether I ever told you, but I've mentioned it when it happened. When I had my show on Talk Sport a couple of years ago, there was a refereeing decision because it's been going on for years. And I was so angry. I went on Twitter and I said something along the lines, this ref must be on the take. About a week later, I got contact from the producer at Talk Sport saying PGMOL have been in contact. They're just sort of red flagging that, they don't like that sort of comment and don't do it in the future. And I said, it's a bloody tweet. I'll delete it. I mean, I don't want to insinuate that they're taking money, but come on, But yeah. I from that moment on, I thought they are absolutely obsessed with protecting their reputation. They're not looking at why people are frustrated. It's just operation protection. And somebody there will be watching this video saying, has Robbie or Mark said something that maybe we can look at, threatening them or something like that? Because they should be looking at what they're doing.
You're not going to be invited to their gala dinner, right?
Well,
I certainly
go,
ain't going to be. Right?
Yeah. But you know what? That's the thing. It's maintaining the status quo, isn't it? I like what we've built. I like what our community's built, what our communities have built, because I just don't care about being invited to the PFA or the PGMOL, because I don't want to be in a position where my opinion isn't totally driven by what football fans' opinion is. And I think that's where everyone's going wrong in the mainstream. They've got these relationships, and to maintain them, you can't be honest. But there we go.
100%. And let's hope, right, there's no Michael Oliver type refereeing that City game. I mean, that's a huge game.
Well, Gary said he'd been taken off it, which I don't think he would have been took off it, because it's very rare to referee an Arsenal game twice in a row. But he said he's been took off it, and it's a joke because he's just made a mistake. I was like, oh my God, he's made so many mistakes in Arsenal Man City games. I mean, he sent off Trossard, didn't he?
He can't referee another Arsenal game this season. He can't. He can't referee another Arsenal game this season. If we see him rock up as fans, not that anything's going to happen to him or anything like that, but we're just not going to trust anything. He'll get booed, but we're just not going to be able to trust anything he does. So for me, listen, continue refereeing other games, but you can't referee an Arsenal game this season. Let this thing die down, come back next season if possible. But you can't referee another Arsenal game this season because the fans are still angry about this. Simple.
Arsenal Man City at the weekend. It's great, actually, because I think the second biggest game is really Bournemouth Liverpool. Bournemouth are in great form. We'll talk about that in a minute, but that is before your game. So if Liverpool win, if Liverpool draw, if Liverpool lose, it makes no difference. You absolutely have to win this game. And it's probably the first time, Robbie, that sort of gone into a game between Arsenal and Man City where they're the underdogs and you're the favourites, but you're not top of the league, which is because, we've spoken about. But absolutely have to win this. You're 6 points ahead of them, but it's not really about them closing a gap on you. How confident are you going into this game, considering where you are in Man City this season?
Yeah, listen, I'm confident that we can get a result, you know what I mean? Because we've actually, over the last couple of seasons, had a decent record against Man City. We didn't lose to them at their place. We all remember we were down to 10 men and had to battle out a whole half against Man City, and they got that absolute last-second equaliser. We beat them at our place last season. They're always really, really tight games, but I fancy us this week. And the reason why, I know they're on form. They picked up some form now in the league, but so are we. We've been on form in the league. We haven't, despite what's happened in the cup, we haven't lost for ages. I think it's 13, 14 games unbeaten in the league. And I think we're going to be really pumped for this game. That stay humble, what, Haaland said at the end of that game. He's very disrespectful towards Mikel Arteta. And there's also a real underlying battle going on between him and Gabriel. You can see that Gabriel and Saliba, they're really up for it when they play against him. I expect some, we need a strong ref in this game. Expect some really aggressive play on both sides. And it should be exciting. We want to see that as well. We want to see Haaland and Gabriel and Saliba really battling at each other. But I think we got enough to beat them. I think we're strong defensively. And I still think they're vulnerable, their defense. We saw it last week against Chelsea. If Chelsea would have taken their chances and had their goalkeeper been, played a bit better, they could have got a result in that game. And they've had a few games like that, City, where they've won, where they haven't been overly convincing. You know what I mean? I remember even Nicky from West Ham Fan TV saying to me, even when they went up there, he's like, even though they got beaten by about 4, he goes, at the start of that game, they were really vulnerable, and West Ham should have had a couple of goals. And remember, they've had a really tough week. They've come through that, the game against Club Brugge, but which they conceded first again, which was really poor defending. But they had a really tough game against Bruges. Whereas with us, I was at the game during the week over in Girona. It's an absolute stroll. You know what I mean? Arsenal were able to rest Declan Rice, Havertz, Saliba. Like they rested loads and loads of players, even the players that didn't, come on. They came on for like 15 minutes at the end. Timber played a half. You know what I mean? So we should be the fresher of the teams, and we're at home. So I fancy us in this, Mark. It's going to be really tough. You could possibly see a draw in this, but I'm going for an Arsenal win.
It's funny because I've wrote mine down ahead of the schedule for this win, lose or draw because it's still what we'll see. Actually, I didn't say it. It's actually it was Robbie was winning 12-11 last week. It's now 16-all.
Is it?
Because City against Chelsea, you went with a draw. I went with a City win. Bournemouth Forest, we both went Bournemouth. Everton against Brighton, we both went Brighton. Liverpool Ipswich, we both went Liverpool. Southampton versus Newcastle, we both went Newcastle. Wolves against Arsenal, we both went Arsenal. Palace against Brentford, I said draw, you said Palace win. Obviously, we didn't get one there. Spurs against Leicester, I said Spurs, you said draw.
Didn't I say Leicester?
No, said draw.
Oh, I thought I went with a Leicester win. I think I went with a Leicester win at first, and then I might have changed my mind. So I knew Leicester would do something in that game.
Villa West Ham, we both said Villa, there was a draw. And then Fulham United, I thought I'd gone United win. I went draw. You said Fulham win. So it ended up, it's 16-all. So
16-all, it's vital.
Yeah, so you've gone win for Arsenal. I nearly went with the draw, but you know what? I think Arsenal have to win. I really want Arsenal to win for the title race. But also, I think what you were saying about Nicky from West Ham TV, he's absolutely spot on. You watch Man City and it's the vulnerability. And I think at Arsenal, that atmosphere is so much better over the last couple of years. And
it's going to be fire.
I think Arsenal will be aggressive. I think Gabriel is, absolute epitome of that. And Man City just look weak defensively and mentally weak. And Pep is mentally weak. So I think that they are. I think they're there to be got at, and because Arsenal need to win, I think they'll go for it for the whole 90 minutes. And I just hope the only thing I will say is that was making me think a draw was that I've got a horrible feeling after the week we've had, there's going to be some decision or something that just completely changes the game. But if that doesn't happen, I'm going to stick with an Arsenal win because they need to win it. Bournemouth, Liverpool. I'll go first on this one. Again, what a game! I can't wait to watch this. Bournemouth. Brilliant at home. They are at home. Liverpool did pretty much play their reserves in midweek. Clever by Slot. But I'm going to go with the Liverpool win. I think that this is one of those where I think a lot of people will go for Bournemouth or maybe a draw. But I think this is where we'll see the gap between Bournemouth and Liverpool and Arsenal. I think Bournemouth have been brilliant, but I don't think they're capable of doing the Liverpools and the Arsenals. I know they did beat Arsenal, but Saliba got sent off in that game. I think that you've got to, I'm just going to give a bit of credit to the Liverpools and the Arsenals who are going for a title. Bournemouth are fantastic, but I think people are running away a little bit. Bournemouth will probably win 4-0 now, but I'm going to go Liverpool.
I mean, Bournemouth have been incredible. When you see the scalps that they've taken, but this one would be the biggest of all. I don't know what to do on this one because Liverpool, I think if Liverpool win this, you're starting to.
They got to lose it, really, from your point of view, haven't they?
Yeah,
you're starting to draw it.
Or draw. It's starting to get the crown out for them because then they're showing that they'll go anywhere.
Hardest games left as well, Robbie. Bournemouth away is actually one of the games where you're catching them at a horrible time. You need it. But
I'm going to go for a draw. I think it's a really tough game for Liverpool. Because Bournemouth, let's put some respect on their name. I mean, beating Newcastle away the way they did, then following up by beating a really in-form, Forest the way that they did. They're going to be confident. I think it's going to be one of those where they're like, we've got nothing to lose. We're going to be on the front foot. We're going to close down and we're going to have a go. And let's see where it takes us. And I think they could rattle Liverpool a bit. I'm not sure if they could beat Liverpool, but I'm going to go for a draw.
I think there'll be a lot of goals in it. There's some really great games actually this weekend. And Arsenal, Man City are going to take the headlines. But 12:30 tomorrow, just a ridiculously hard one to call. Forest obviously lost last week, but they're still really healthy in the top four. I mean, they're still 4 points ahead of Bournemouth. Forest at home, Brighton, hardest team to predict. I mean, last week at home to Everton, we both said, wouldn't be surprised if Everton went and won, but you've got to go with the Brighton win. Everton go and win. They're so hard to predict, and Forest are good at home. So what are you thinking, Robbie?
Yeah, the way Forest play, the teams like Brighton will suit them because they're just going to sit back and look to catch Brighton on the counter-attack. And that's what's been happening in literally all of Brighton's defeats. They've been getting done in transition.
Yeah.
So I fancy Forest for this. I'm going to go for a Forest win.
So Forest win for Robbie. I'm going to go draw on that one. Got to get a draw in, and I think that the unpredictability of it. Brighton should be doing so. I mean, they're not even in Europe. Brighton's position in the league is terrible. I mean, they irritate me, Brighton, because I think they beat United twice. Took 6 points off us, which isn't hard, to be honest. But they have. I look at their bench every time, and I think you've got so many good players. I mean, Matoma could be going to Saudi, which is a shame.
Yeah, I've seen that for 95 million. I mean, or 95 million euros is crazy. I mean, but they've got really good. I mean, again, they've had a lot of injuries this season, but they've got a big. They've got the biggest squad now in the Premier League, right? But the manager at the moment, he's looking a little inconsistent. I don't know. They're not getting. His style's a lot different to what they were playing last year. They're a very inconsistent team. On their day, they didn't beat anybody. Yeah. But that's it. You can't. How can you predict them winning? And they just seem made for Forest. You know, made for Forest. You know what I mean?
Be a good bounce back result for Forest, won't it? That.
Yeah, Brighton will be doing all the attacking, and then Forest is going to be waiting for that little error, and then pouncing. So I think, it's going to be a close one though.
Let's go next. We're going to go again. Everton. Well, yeah, these are decent games. Everton, Leicester, massive actually. Great result for Leicester last week. Everton at home. I'm going to go with an Everton win simply because Moyes has done what I think Dyche would have done in the end anyway. But obviously, Dyche didn't get the chance to stay. He'd had his run. They just seem to be into that groove with David Moyes at the moment. So I'm going to go with a home Everton win. But Leicester, good win last week. If they could follow it up, we might not see 3 up, 3 down. Confident.
Confidence is a big thing. Leicester will gain a bit of confidence with a massive win at Spurs. Everton are confident. I can't split these two. I'm going to go for a draw.
Draw there. Again, massive one. I mean, look, Ipswich, Southampton. I've gone with an Ipswich win because I just think Southampton are terrible, and Ipswich would be looking at that with Wolves, who've got some difficult games. It's a chance to start building a bit of a gap on Wolves. So I'm going to go with an Ipswich win.
Right, I'm going to go with one of my bold ones, right? Because you know what? Southampton, over the past few weeks, they played some great attacking stuff. I've felt for them, man. They just can't defend. But come on, this is it. This is the game where Southampton finally get a victory to try and take them away from that appalling Derby County record. I'm going for a Southampton win.
Oh, my God. You do realise you haven't got a big point lead here, Robbie. You're playing like
I know.
He's playing Bielsa ball. He's just going for it.
I'm going for it, man. You know what I mean? You got to be brave. You got to be brave. Come on, Southampton. I'm backing these guys, man.
You deserve the title. You deserve your title for that if Southampton win. But there you go. Newcastle against Fulham. I'll let you go first on this. You're not going for Fulham win.
Yeah, Newcastle. Yeah, Newcastle all day long, man. At home. Going to be interesting though. Will they rest players? Maybe they got that game against us, the second leg.
Yeah. That midweek this week coming up.
That's midweek coming up. This week, the second leg against us. They're 2-0 up.
They're 2-0 won't rest players. They need to win. They're in the Champions League race. He won't rest.
Yeah. Newcastle win.
Yeah, I mean, look, I never go against Newcastle at home, but they did lose to Bournemouth last time. But just how bad Fulham were against us. Against that crowd, I think an easy Newcastle win.
I couldn't believe what I was watching with Fulham. They've been so good this season.
They were really bad. 5:30 on Saturday, a bit of a local derby actually. Wolverhampton and Birmingham. Wolverhampton Wanderers home to Aston Villa. I'm going to go with a draw in this. They always seem to be draws every time I remember the results. Someone's going to put in the chat, Villa have beaten 10 times in the last 10 games, but it feels like it'll be a draw. And Villa are potentially in turmoil because of your club, Robbie. We were just talking before we went on air. I mean, I've spoken about Villa saying what a lovely problem. So many people haven't got strikers and they've got two. They might be in the same problem as everyone else in a couple of weeks. Do you think you're going to get Watkins? I don't know whether Duran's gone to Saudi yet, but I think he is heading there.
Definitely going. He's definitely going. Mark Goldbridge, you are the oracle, right? You've been saying it for so long. Why don't you just get Ollie Watkins? Every time you've been saying it, like over the times we've been doing the show, like he likes Watkins. He's always got, and now we're going for Watkins. Did you know something that none of the ITKs knew? Because you were the first person to keep going on about it.
Well, I know he supports Arsenal, and obviously I'm quite local, so I do have some connections around Villa. I mean, there's a couple of players who live around the corner from me, but
right.
I genuinely
what have you heard, man? Come on.
No, I genuinely didn't. You know what it was? It was because I look at Arsenal, and I think everyone will go, if you had Haaland or Lewandowski. And I think what I was always saying is, and I have said it for a while, I genuinely just think a striker like Watkins would take you to the next level, because he's not like the best striker in the world, but he's Premier League proven. So that's why I just used him as an example that was attainable. Obviously, he supports Arsenal, and you probably at 29 get him for about 60 million. Thing is, if it happens, it's sort of like, let's see if it does make the kick. But I think he'd be perfect for you. The only thing is maybe his age, but I think he would be perfect.
I'd love him at Arsenal. I'd love him at Arsenal. Like you said, an Arsenal fan. And is that going to affect them? Also, will they be affected by the fact that they had a really tough game during the week against Celtic? They've come through it, so that, they're confident. Wolves, they're in the bottom three now. They're starting to look really, really vulnerable. It's a hard one to call, but I think I'll go for Villa. I mean, Wolves, they didn't impress me last week. I mean, we were down to 10 men for a lot of that game. They should have really done better. I can't see them. No, I've got to go for a Villa win.
Fair play. Got some tough games coming up, Wolves, so they need to. This one's a chance. Into Sunday, Robbie's favourite team, Spurs, go to Brentford away. I went first on the last one. Robbie, this is for you. Brentford, Spurs, both sort of drifting a little bit. Let's have a look at the league table. Well, Spurs aren't drifting. They're drifting. Spurs got to be a bit bloody careful, actually.
I mean, you're disrespecting Brentford here, man, because they're way above. Well, not
Everton
way
win,
above, but they're above Spurs, right?
Everton win, Brentford win. Spurs go down to 16th place, and Ipswich could be literally like 5 points off them. So Brentford got a good home record as well.
I'm going for a Brentford win. Brentford, good side at home, right? Give teams trouble. Look at the last game against the Liverpool, how much problems they gave them. When they played us, they went 1-0 up against us. We did beat them 3-1 in the end, but they're a good side, direct. And I thought they were really impressive last week, going away and beating Palace. That was an impressive win. And in Buemo, Vissa, they've got some good players. And the way they play, that direct style, right? That's what they'll do against, because they did it against us. They did it against Liverpool. Get the ball. Soon as you get the ball, try and hit Buemo and Wissa up front. And with Spurs defending, I see that Dragerson, I was watching their game last night. Dragerson, he went off injured as well. I know Van der Ven's back, but even with Van der Ven, their defending is still not great. He's good coming forward, not necessarily the greatest defender. All right, he'd be better one-on-one with you in Buemos than that. I'm going for a Brentford win.
Yeah, very easy for me. Brentford's home record is amazing. Spurs are losing home games to Leicester. Difficult game on Thursday. I think, unfortunately, Spurs, I've got no confidence in you either. So I'm going to go with a Brentford win. This will be interesting. I'm first on this one this week as well. Man United at home to Palace. I mean, look, we've won our last three. It's not been great, but Palace lost last week to Brentford. Normally, I would say Palace at home, because every team like this comes to Old Trafford and expresses themselves, and the crowd get a little bit edgy, and ultimately I can see a problem in this game, and we could easily get beat. But I just feel the tide is starting to turn. I just feel that we are... the league doesn't really matter to Man United. The Europa League is the priority, but things are starting to just move slightly in the right direction. I mean, we're not going into the top 6 or anything like that, but I'm going to go with the United win. I think we will get over the line, and I just feel like just starting to stabilise under Amrin, which was hopeful that was going to happen. So I'm going to go United win.
Hard one to call for me, because you don't know what Palace is going to turn up. You know, if the right Palace turns up, they'll give United a very, very tough game. But I thought they were really disappointed against Brentford last week, and I think I have to go with the United win as well. Yeah, because United, whilst not playing brilliantly, you're seeing a bit of fight, a bit of grit, a bit of fight, right? Guys like Martinez, even Bruno, you know what I mean? There's a little bit of grit there, you know what I mean? And that sometimes is what you need to get you through sticky periods. So, you know, De Ligt, these guys, you can see that they're really...
He's getting no credit at all from... No one talks about De Ligt. He's been really
good. Yeah. They're fighting. So I think they'll get through this. I'll go for a United win.
There we go. And then final game, Monday Night Football's back. I think it must be a big week of football then if you Carabao Cup second leg. So we should get Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, which is always good. Chelsea at home to West Ham. What are your thoughts on that?
I don't think this is a foregone conclusion for Chelsea. They can't defend. And with that goalkeeper in goal, right, they can always concede. I'll go for a draw.
Go for a draw
in this game. You know what I mean? I know I'm going a bit left field this week, but I'm going for a draw.
You're either going to have a 4-point lead on next week or I will. But it's good that there's so many differentials. I'm going to go with a Chelsea win. I think that against West Ham, I'd expect them to get more chances, and they should have got something out about Man City. But Robbie's right. Defensively, if they don't switch on, they'll come unstuck. But
and West Ham showing the same thing. West Ham showing a little bit of fight now. You know what I mean? I thought, again, you know, their game against Villa, they got a good draw. They really, you know, it was poor in the first half, but second half, they played well. You know what I mean? If they can go away to Villa and do that, they can do it at Chelsea as well. I mean, it's got to defend, right? Because Chelsea at the moment, they're conceding really sloppy goals, even against Wolves in that win. You know, it's just because, you know, again, they conceded a sloppy goal. I don't know, man. West Ham going to get a draw in my books.
Well, I'm very excited to see how this is going to pan out on Monday because we've got so many differentials, whereas last week we only had about 2 or 3. So watch out over the weekend. Robbie said that Southampton are going to win. So, you know, don't go out anywhere. Get the party hats out. This is the weekend. Southampton are going to win the game. Yeah, they've not. I don't think they've won one this season. So this is going to be their second one. 6 points.
This is it. This is the Southampton moment. They are coming to get a victory at Portman Road. Right, this is their time.
This is it. Absolute legend, Robbie. Thanks for coming on, and I can't wait now to see how these results pan out. Get your comments in as well. Don't forget what we were talking about at the start of the video about that FA charge. What are your thoughts on that? And we're back on Monday on DR Sports to review these results and the big talking points this weekend. Let's hope it's a cracker. Cheers, Robbie.
Thank you very much.